someone is saying that, oh, I have over 5 years working experience and I'm interested to apply, but the person is not currently in the United States. Can the person apply?
Yes. So the good thing about this visa is that you don't necessarily have to be in the States. Wherever you are, you don't have to be in the States. Ghana, Togo, Mali, Bamako, or whatever. Once you meet the requirements, you can apply. So it's not only restricted to only people who are currently in US or have been in US or have had a US visa before or not. I have friends who are outside US or who applied, they were in Ghana or something, got approved. So you just want to meet the basic requirements. And so not being in US wouldn't prevent you or restrict you.
Did you have any plan, or did someone give you all this very information before you started some of these very processes? And then now you can take us into how you were able to transition from the student visa to that of the green card.
Yeah, so when I was moving to US, so because I was coming there on as a postdoc or on a, let's say we call it as an academic or research scholar, the visa I came with was a J1 visa. So if you're already coming in as a researcher to an institution, they will give you a J1 visa. So I had this job offer and I needed a work visa. So the company was willing to apply for my work visa, which is the O1 visa. So basically the O1 visa, it's visa for people with extraordinary ability. So an employer will say that, oh, hey, we have a client or we have someone who has an extraordinary ability, and then they'll apply for you. So that was the visa I used to enter the US to work. But during that time, I knew that, okay, perhaps I will be living in the United States. So this will be the time for me to start my EB2. So I put together my petition. I reached out to a friend of mine to kind of review it for me, and then he was going to charge me some huge amount. So I decided not to. So I spent extra time, review it again, submitted it, and it got approved. So that was somewhere 2023 when I moved back to the States. Is when I
just last year
submitted my EB2 NIW form.
Yeah. Wow.
So the EB2, EB1, they do have the premium and then the regular process. So if you submit for the premium process, based on the UCSIS website or their guidelines, within 45 working days, they have to give you a decision on your application. If you go for the regular process, it can take as much as maybe sometimes even a year. So I use the premium process. So with the premium process, I submitted it, I think, let's say if I submitted it around March, I got it in less than 15 days. So the premium process is very fast for most people. The maximum I have seen, and even for people that we have been helping for the past couple of months, the maximum has been 30 days. So because it's expensive, they process it much faster compared to the regular process. So in less than 15 days, I got the decision that my petition has been approved. And then once we start going into the process, I will tell you how or what you do next and what comes after your petition has been approved. But yeah, in less than 15 days, I got my petition approved. Having said that, the process for the green card is, one, you want to meet the minimum requirement. So this is an employment-based. They have the first preference, the second preference. Today, what we are talking about is the second preference, which is the national interest waiver. So the national interest waiver basically means that you are asking the United States government to waive off a requirement that for you to be able to apply for a permanent residence or a green card, you have to have an offer letter. So ideally, you have to have an offer letter or employer sponsoring you. But in this case, you are asking them that you have certain requirements, and so they should waive off that requirement. Now, the minimum requirement for you to be able to apply is that you either have a bachelor's degree with over 5 years of continuous work experience, or you have an advanced degree with no work experience. So the advanced degree can be a master's or a PhD. There are instances where they even equate those who go to med school or pharmacy for about 5 or 6 years, equate that length of study to be equivalent to having a master's. But in most cases, the majority of people who do apply for this type of visa are people who have advanced degree, either a master's or a PhD. But I just want people to know that if you have a bachelor's degree and you have worked for over 5 years, continuous full-time work, then you also qualify.
Oh, all right. So if we get you right, so if, for instance, I move to US and I already have a bachelor's degree and I have 5 years working experience, even whilst I'm pursuing my master's degree, I can put in this very national interest waiver. Is that the case?
Yes. So that's it's one test of meeting the minimum requirement. If you don't have the advanced degree, then you should have a bachelor's degree with over 5 years working experience, full-time working experience. It's not like, some part-time here and there. It should be a full-time work experience. And it shouldn't necessarily be a continuous work experience. So let's say you're employed by company A, you work full-time, and then you change job, but in totality, with all the companies or the people that you've worked for, the employers, you have 5 years of full-time work experience.
Wow. Okay, so I'm really loving this. So now, Dr. Entry, I'm a master's student. I've already gained masters in Ghana, right?
Yes.
I've gained masters in Ghana, and then I've already done my bachelor's in Ghana, or like in Africa, and then I moved into US. But then before I moved into US, I already have just 1 year working experience. I've started my PhD or my doctorate degree. Can I put in this very application, and during the time that maybe I'm still a student, I can get this very national interest waiver approved for me?
Yes, absolutely. So there was one person that got approved, I think 2 weeks ago. So he had a master's. By the time that he was applying, he was a graduate student, so a PhD student. And so having the master's sets you to meet the basic requirement. So even if you are still a student, you are applying using your master's certificate, which is one of the basic requirements for you to apply for, because that is an advanced degree. And it doesn't matter whether you had it in US, Canada, or whatever. What most people try to do is to do evaluation.
Okay.
It's not totally required, yes, but people think that in order to demonstrate that a master's from Ghana, it's equivalent to a US, people go ahead to do that. So that is one thing that if you have the funds, I always encourage that, okay, yes, you have the master's, but to prove to them that a master's from Ghana is equivalent to the United States, you can do the evaluation and then you add that to justify that you have equivalence of master's in US.
Wow, that is very interesting, and that is why I keep saying that, when you are doing your evaluation, don't think it's a waste of money or it's just for the school application. So if you get here and the West evaluation or the World Education Services evaluation document lasts for 5 years. So for instance, you do it and then within that 1 year, you put in an application and you find yourself in the US, and you can use that document that you have evaluated to put in for your NIW, which is the National Interest Waiver. And if you get approved, you get your green card. Whilst you are schooling, you have access to your green card. And it's a big deal in the United States of America. So guys, I've done a couple of videos on the West Evaluation Services. I've done a couple of videos. And then also you can know how your GPA will be even before you put in the application. So try and check out my videos on my YouTube channel. That's Aaron Inspires, and you are going to get this very information well explained to you over there. All right, so back to you, Dr. Entry. Now,
before you come to that, so there was one other requirement. So the education part is what I said, either a bachelor's with over 5 years work experience or an advanced degree. Another way of establishing the requirement, if you don't have any of these, is if you're able to demonstrate that you are someone with an extraordinary ability. So an extraordinary ability.
No, please wait. So the two requirements that you are talking about, they are independent.
Yes. So that is, either bachelor's degree with, 5 years work experience. You have a master's or PhD with no work experience, or you are someone with whatever qualification, whether O-level, high school, or whatever, but you are someone with an extraordinary ability. Let's say if someone has gone or participated in Olympics, but is just a high school certificate holder, participating in Olympics or in any of these internationally recognized events makes you or classify you as someone with an extraordinary ability. So in that case, that person also qualifies to use that as a means of requirement. Or you are someone in the arts in space and you've won some global award, or maybe you want some, what is this award that they do for musicians?
I mean,
that's the dream of every musician, but let's say you want some of these. What I'm trying to say is that you can also demonstrate that you have an extraordinary ability. Let's say somebody like Ronaldo. I mean, he may not have any education or whatever, but this is someone who had won, so much international recognized awards. So he's considered as someone with an extraordinary ability. It may not even be that so much as extreme. You can prove in certain ways that indeed you have some kind of extraordinary ability based on some of the work that you have done, or maybe you've created some company at certain age, employ people, or you came out with some software, developed some, something unique to make you stand out. So besides the education, that is also another way of meeting the requirement. But obviously, in most cases, majority of people will not fit into that kind of requirement, and that's why a lot of times you don't hear it, but it's also one of the requirements. So there are 3 ways of establishing that you meet the requirement: bachelor's degree with over 5 years work experience, an advanced degree, that is either a master's or a PhD, or demonstrating that you are someone with an extraordinary ability. So these are the 3 main ways of establishing that you meet the basic requirement for the EB2 NIW.